Ladies and gentlemen, Elite Heat this week, we've got a number of interesting topics. And the main one is going to be around one Dom Mysterio. Kevin, I know your favorite wrestler at the moment.
Yeah,
And look, there's some other things we're going to talk about. And I feel like the other topics are actually quite interesting themselves. So we'll get to that. But first, Kevin, how you doing, pal?
I'm good, pal. I'm excited. Can't wait to talk wrestling. We got quite a bit to talk about here. There's some stuff going on in the world of wrestling. We just kind of, I guess, briefly discuss some of what we thought was the most intriguing and most noteworthy topics of the week. We are here in the days of April post WrestleMania, where the most exciting thing going on are rumors that CM Punk showing up at the United Center. That's we're in that season of
Yeah.
wrestling, pal. So yeah, hey, I miss those days when it was like hot and heavy and we had so much content to talk about. But it's nice to have a little break from the heavy content.
Yeah, and I think I like where it's at now. Well, obviously, I'd prefer if there was more hot and heavy stuff to talk about, but where we're at the moment, Raw, there was some stuff which we can discuss and we can make some content about. There was some interesting sort of stuff there. You had, I mean, AEW, there was a certain little promo segment, just generally some big rumors involving one Phil Brooks there. And then generally, we have this topic to discuss with Dom. So there's enough content still there that's actually compelling for you guys, listeners. So that's all we really need at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to talk about Raw first?
Yes.
You want to talk about the Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes segment, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, pal. Because now, as I've admitted on this platform, my Raw viewership hasn't been the best at a lot of stages. I tuned in and saw mostly everything on this week's edition. And the main thing was Cody and Brock. This was obviously when you got your top babyface act in the company, and you've got Brock Lesnar. Whatever they do is going to be the most noteworthy thing on the show, basically. Kevin, this segment, you watched it about 20 minutes ago. I'm going to pass this to you. You
Mm.
just watched this.
Yes.
What did you think of it? Because I'll give my thoughts in a moment. I have a bit to say. What do you think of this segment, pal?
Overall, I thought it was a good segment. Overall, I thought I just one thing I thought, like the first thing that jumps out is how good of a babyface Cody Rhodes is, and he's a WWE guy. He just is. Like he was trying to do this stuff in AEW, and it just didn't work. The AEW crowd didn't like it. The AEW crowd was like, nah, it's not what we want. We want John Moxley shoving forks into people. So the WWE crowd is like, yeah, we love Cody. He's great. He sells a ton of merchandise. He's probably selling more merchandise than Roman Reigns right now. This is the absolute hottest that I think Cody Rhodes will ever be in his entire career. I think this is this. I think we're looking at 2023. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but I think it's the year of Cody, and I think this is his absolute peak right now. I think it's not that it's downhill from here, but I think he's gonna just even out and plateau after
Yeah.
this year. Um, it just seems like everything he's doing is gold, you know. So this was another good, like, not to say this was like a great segment. I wouldn't say that it was, but it was good. It was watchable. It was entertaining. The Brock Lesnar coming out with the coat, like a trench coat, like almost like an Undertaker coat, but like an old school like 1800s cowboy coat. He's got the big belt. He's got the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
He looks over the top and he looks ridiculous. It just looks like he's having fun, which is like been the theme, I guess, over the
Yeah.
last like two and a half years since he came back at SummerSlam last year. Or not even 2.5 years, year and a half when he came back at SummerSlam in 2021, I should say.
Yeah.
Wow, time flies, pal. It's crazy. Like that was 2021, right?
Yes, it was. He went from WrestleMania 36, where he lost the belt to Drew, and then he wasn't seen for a year and a bit. And then he made his triumphant return. So, yeah, a year and a half, nearly 2 years.
And he's been full time basically ever since then.
Crazy.
Like it's nuts. We're gonna have a backlash pay per view featuring a Brock Lesnar match, which is not the first time we've seen Brock Lesnar wrestle on the pay per view after Mania, but it's the first time. I think it's the first time since Cena Lesnar at 2012 in Extreme Rules.
Is this the first year of Brock's career where he's wrestled at the Royal Rumble, the February pay-per-view, the WrestleMania show, and Backlash?
I think
Is
so.
this
Yeah, because
the
he's
first year he's
done.
ever done that? Because in 2002, he didn't debut until, like, April, maybe 2003, potentially, when he was full time. But no, 04, he was gone after WrestleMania. And then he hasn't done that since he's returned in 2012. So, it's literally full-time Brock. And I'll give my quick synopsis of this segment. Very entertaining. There's so much to unpack with all these sort of segments. There's just a lot happening. You've got guys who are interesting, Cody, Brock. I feel something when they're on the screen, and you've got, I will say, Kevin, Adam Pearce. His acting just was not good. That was the only thing in this segment. Like, Cody, you can have your match, okay? Cody, don't. No. He sounded like he was reading a script. But besides that, the stuff with the security guards, as you pointed out when you watched it, in 5, 8 years' time, when you've got one of those security guards main eventing WrestleMania and they're facing Cody Rhodes, everyone's booing out of the building by that point, and everyone's turned on 3 years before, and they're having a match, and that image is going to circulate Twitter for days and days. OMG, long-term storytelling. Here's Cody punching a 23-year-old security guard that's gone on to main event WrestleMania. Like,
But
that would be great.
Cody's gonna mention it. He's gonna be out there with both belts in 2028, and he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, I remember this guy when he was the security guard, and he took those kicks from me, and that's
Oh
when I
my
knew
God.
he was special."
Oh no, Kevin, you're gonna make our listeners mad when you do that. But no, like, I just enjoyed the segment. I thought Cody being Super Cena and beating off wave after wave of security guards. Like, he
Super
destroyed like three
Cena, wow.
waves of security. It
Yeah,
was
he did.
hilarious. There was the first lot in the ring. He like punched them all and took them out. He gets just out of the ring. There's another wave and he beats them all up. And then he like runs at Brock and then another wave just comes and beat him up. And Brock's standing there in the trench coat, just like, "Hey, yo, I'm here." It was just,
Yeah, I
it's
thought
just
that
funny.
part was a little ludicrous. The fact that Cody's just beating up all these security guards, like that, none of them could get like an upper hand on him. You know, it's just like this. It's like 8-on-1, and Cody's just like, and they all fall down, bro. He punches them like 6 times. They all just fall. Honestly, if AEW did this would be circulating on like botches, like AEW botches and other meme pages.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have Kenny Olivier reposting a clip of like Cody doing like some messy like back elbow to one of the security guards, the security guard collapsing on the ground, acting dead. And then you'd have the "Oh baby, do you know what that's like," that song playing in slow-mo, and like that's what would be happening
Yeah,
realistically to keep it objective. But no, it was entertaining nonetheless. It sets up the match with Backlash really well. I'm actually genuinely interested to see what they do at Backlash, what direction they go with this, whether it is just the 2012 Brock and Cena route, or whether they do something different out of left field with this. Waits to be seen. But the main takeaway to me, Cody does have quite a bit of momentum. Cody's doing a really good job. This is the year of Cody. Will we look back on WWE not capitalizing at WrestleMania as the big L for them, or will it pan out just right? That's sort of where I'm at. I'm sort of watching with bated breath with this. I'm not yet going to say, Kevin, "Oh, Cody's back, pal. I love Cody. I don't care that he lost at WrestleMania." That's still a big issue to me, and that will be until they rectify it. But this segment, what we saw on Raw, very entertaining. I love Brock in the trench coat, pal.
yeah, it was solid. It was pretty good. I mean, I'll ask you this.
Mm.
So, are you satisfied right now with what Cody's been doing post WrestleMania?
Yes, I'd say so.
Are you
I'd
okay,
say
pal?
Pal, I'm okay. I'm not as
You look like you can't.
butthurt as
Your
I was
eye is
initially.
hurting, pal.
Oh no, pal, I got this like eyelash fell in my eye. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that being said, pal, I think Cody. I mean, what, the night after WrestleMania, he got brutally ambushed in by Brock Lesnar before the tag match, and then he did like a promo last week, and then we had this segment with the security guards and the brawl. Like, so far, it's been good. It's been entertaining. It hasn't been a bad segment yet, and really, that's sort of the thing. I know for me especially, and I'd say you can give your take in a moment with Cody. Ever since he's come back, you've sort of been watching, thinking, will there be that segment, that a go promo segment? Will there be that segment you go, "Oh, that didn't hit the mark. That wasn't good. I don't know about Cody," but he hasn't had that yet, and it doesn't look like he will. Like, he's been presented quite well. So yeah.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. I really do. I really don't want to see people turn on Cody.
Mm.
He's good. He's good right now.
Yep.
Um, yeah, but overall, just my closing thoughts on that segment. I'm not like willing to like. I wouldn't spend like $80 on Backlash or whatever
Yeah.
Peacock Plus is gonna be when we have to pay for pay-per-views, whatever that price will be. I'm not willing to pay that price to see Brock and Cody off this segment, but it's intriguing. It was intriguing stuff. It was good, solid sports entertainment.
Yep.
Nothing otherworldly. Nothing that will be remembered for like the next 5 to 10 years. But I don't think anybody's claiming that. I hope not. But
Yep.
yeah, good segment. Cody Brock, two of the best in the business, going at it. Right now, I mean, this is the main thing going on in wrestling. This segment, this
Yeah.
storyline, I think has topped what's going on with Rey Mysterio and Dominic and the Bloodline.
I- but the AW pillars, Kevin. Excuse me.
Yes.
Are you just being a WWE shill?
Who's
Stop
your
that.
who's your favorite AEW pillar?
Oh, Jungle Boy by far. His promos are amazing.
Oh, what do you like?
He's
His
so
theme song?
charismatic. Sorry,
You like his theme song?
I can't comment on that. But no, like Kevin, I don't know. Can we touch on that AW pillars segment briefly? Like
Sure.
just before we go to Phil Brooks, which we'll discuss in a moment. We'll transition this seamlessly, pal. I'm watching this segment, and it just made all I'm thinking is
Well, paint a picture for those who didn't
okay.
see it.
Okay, basically on Dynamite, they've got this segment involving Sammy G, so Sammy Guevara, you've got Jungle Boy, and you've got Darby Allen. They're all, I guess, either pitching a case for why they should be the number one contender for the title and why they should be up next, sort of thing. They're all doing a promo segment in the ring. So there's the three of them in the ring. It goes for about 10 minutes. Jungle Boy, his part of this, what he said wasn't like bad, but it put me to sleep near enough 4 times. His delivery was appalling. He's
Right.
trying to cut this promo about how, yeah, you may be good, Darby, but I'm the next guy. All right. Your face paint, there are kids with that face paint on, but it's not good because I'm listening, like, what is this? And then Sammy G eventually has his go, and he's like, all his role is to be cocky and arrogant, and he's like, hey, I'm better than you, I'm better than you, I'm the next guy, I should have the title match, I worked with Jericho for 3 years, yeah, like okay. And Darby Allen's promo is actually it surprised me. I was expecting his promo to be the worst of the three, but it was actually most surprising. So fair play to Darby. His promo is actually the most worth watching of this. Basically, yeah, Kevin. They go back and forth for like 10 minutes. It didn't really sell me on any of them. I'll pass to you for your thoughts in a minute, or maybe what Cornette said, or just a general rundown. But I was watching this going, MJF is like up here, and these guys are all like down here. These guys are nowhere near. This is not the main event. What I'm watching right here, like on WWE right now, we got Cody and Brock doing this intense big segment. Security, Brock in a trench coat, Cody fighting off security, shouting, looking jacked, veins popping, shouting at the hard camera. And AEW, we've got Jungle Boy in the fourth row. There's a kid with your face paint on, Darby. Darby, you inspire kids, but I'm not inspired by you. I'm better. It's like, bruh, come on. So basically, Kevin, MJF is so far clear of everyone. These guys came off amateurish, and yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to what we saw with Hangman Page when he was AEW champion, where like he was maybe the second or third most important act on the show. And I don't want to say MJF is at that point. Like he's still the most important act, but he's being booked like he's not the most important act. If that makes sense. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring the future into play. They're trying to give us, the new stars, and they want to have fresh matchups for MJF. Because realistically,
Nice.
like, what else can they do with MJF? I mean, he's wrestled Moxley, he's wrestled Jericho.
Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page. I don't know.
Omega's banged up. Like that's the thing with Omega. He's still not 100%. Apparently, he's just going through the motions right now, doing the multi-man stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know if we'll ever see Prime Omega back, but yeah, Adam Cole is intriguing. But do you really want to see Adam Cole versus MJF? Is that
I'd
like,
rather see that than MJF versus Jungle Boy, MJF Guevara, MJF Darby Allen. Like, if you made me pick, Kevin. That said, as you're alluding to, I'm hardly rushing to my wallet to order a $60 pay per view to watch MJF versus Adam Cole, but I'd be more willing to pay a bit of money to watch that than I would the other ones we've just pitched here.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I get developing the future. Adam Cole's not exactly the future. I understand from that point of view, but especially that promo, that segment they did on Dynamite with the three of them doing the that is the moment to sell us, sell the viewer on those wrestlers. Darby Allin sold me a little bit. Like I see some more in him now because of that segment. Jungle Boy, I now think less of because of his performance in that segment. Sammy G, I don't feel anything. He's just there, which is probably the
yeah.
worst thing you can feel.
Yeah,
So
I'll say this. I never saw it. I never really saw anything in Jungle Boy. Like I look at him and I think a good. Like I think his ceiling is like an upper mid card guy. You know,
yeah,
like I think his ceiling is like an RVD. You know, like that kind of guy. Like that's like upper mid card, could be champion for a little while. You
yeah,
know, could get a big crowd reaction. I look at Darby Allin. I think he has the most upside of the three. I think we're both on the same page with that. Darby
yeah,
Allin, just because of the face paint, the character, the theme
yeah,
song. But I feel like that stuff's gonna work against him. It's gonna be similar to Cody, where like if they start, and then on top of that, he has like the personal things that everybody
yeah.
knows about him. So that's always gonna follow him around too. Unfortunately, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it just is what it is. Stating fact there. Um, so Darby, he's gonna be a guy that like I think he could be AEW champion. I think we could both see that. I think that's his ceiling, and I think he could be a guy that could be like I think he could be like a true pillar of the company going forward.
What about so maybe I'm gonna sound ignorant here.
Mm.
I know Wardlow just won the TNT title again. MJF Wardlow, hello? Like, that's a new guy. That's a guy who could be a big star. That's someone who's legitimately interesting. He could be I remember watching this show in 2020 week to week on Dynamite thinking, "This is like they could book him like the next Batista. Like, this is like a legitimate star." This guy has and then now he's just sort of I mean, he's not in the main event. He's won the TNT title, pal. He beat Hobbs.
But he beat MJF. He buried MJF at 2022 Double or Nothing, and then didn't do anything to follow that up. Didn't do anything of significance, I should say. Like he just had a couple of matches on like Elevation. Once in a while, had matches on Dynamite, and then became TNT champion like 10 months later. So yeah,
Yeah,
then I just say about Sammy Guevara, I don't really see him as a top guy either. To me, he's like a Shelton Benjamin kind of guy, just like a
yeah,
super athlete guy that does cool spots, guy that be like a good Intercontinental champion or Atlantic champion or whatever
yeah,
their other mid card title is. I don't know. I don't think those two like two of those three guys. I don't think AEW could really build around, and that's an AEW problem. You know, AEW they're relying on just bringing people in that already have like notoriety from WWE. That's been the big joker in the deck, and we're gonna bring in Buddy Matthews, Keith Lee, Adam Cole, and Samoa Joe, thousands of other names, and we're gonna rely on their previous star power. They're not really focusing on creating stars day to day.
yeah.
With that being said, now we gotta talk about CM Punk.
Yes, we do. We do, pal.
So
Go.
the brutally honest way to depict what's going on with the CM Punk situation is this: CM Punk cannot get along with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and Tony Khan is not putting them in a room and making them shake hands and work together for the sake of money. Tony Khan is what's the word? He's giving can't think of I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say anything like too bad, but
Mm.
he's giving Punk everything on a silver platter basically. And it's just like we're gonna make a show around you, and it's gonna be AEW Collision, and it's gonna be Punk as a star, and it's gonna be guys that like Punk, FTR and Jericho and all his buddies, and then it's gonna be the Elite and all their buddies on one show. So Tony
Oh,
Khan is basically making a new show because his top stars can't get along. So now we have AEW's on TV 6 days a week. We have Elevation, we have Dark Elevation, we have Elevation, we have Dark, Dynamite, we have Ring of Honor, we have Rampage, and now we have AEW Collision. So I'll ask you this: what's your interest level in a AEW Collision Saturday night show?
right. So gone. Gone.
What's so funny?
No, just you're listing like these 6 AEW shows in a week. Okay, I remember when AEW Dynamite in 2019, 2020, that was the only show they had, and it felt like it felt must see in the sense because it was their one show. What's AEW gonna do? Like this is how I felt watching it week to week. What are they gonna do? Like it was like you couldn't miss Dynamite. They're gonna do an angle. There's gonna be a Jericho, a Cody segment, MJF, a big brawl, an angle all the best wrestlers are in one spot. That's what it felt like. That's why I really enjoyed the first year and a half of AEW particularly. Um, but what you just said there, where they're literally splitting up, they're basically doing a draft brand split sort of thing with CM Punk and then everyone who doesn't like CM Punk. And it's like that is so that's amateur hour. That, and especially to have six, like I get it. Dynamite's your main show, cool. Rampage came in 2 years ago. It was this like revolutionary concept. Oh my god, an hour show. Finally, this is what we've been asking for. That's badly fizzled out.
It peaked.
Like
It
it
peaked when Punk did his return on there.
peaked on the first episode,
Was that the first
and
episode
they've
of
had some
Rampage?
what?
Was that the debut episode when Punk returned?
I think it was the second episode. I want to
Really?
say.
Oh wow. Okay,
First
yeah.
or second, it was one of the. It was within the first like 8 days of Rampage, and then ever since they've had some great matches on that show. But it's hardly anything that we discuss. Like we haven't discussed consciously Rampage since Punk debut
I haven't
or
watched
return.
Rampage since Punk debuted.
Exactly, and the ratings have reflected that. It's not just a you thing. That's not just Elite Heat hating AEW. Ratings hit a low of like 260,000 viewers like a month ago, and they went up because of an NBA lead into like 600,000 the other day. But it's not good enough. So there's that, and Kevin, there's like 5 other AEW shows. There's Ring of Honor. There's Dark Elevation. There's whatever YouTube exclusive involving the Elite. There's podcasts. There's AEW Heels, AEW All Access. This is the same thing that happened with WWE. There's just too much of the damn stuff, and not enough. There's so much, and not
Nothing
enough
feels
meat to it.
important.
I know it's just okay. Like even now, Dynamite. Even like I watched Dynamite or bits and pieces of that, and I was thinking, yeah, a bunch of this is sort of just there. Like that segment with the kendo stick, which has gone around wrestling Twitter, especially where Adam Cole's supposed to be screaming in horror as like there's a kendo stick beat up happening, and the shots are missing. Like that, and the stuff with the British Combat Club is cool. Like Daniel Bryan's doing good. Like I'm trying to give you my highlights from a 2 hour Dynamite
Oh,
as their main show. This isn't even mentioning the 5 other shows, an AW Collision now with Phil running the show on Saturdays. Like, I don't know, Kevin.
yeah.
What do you? What do you?
Let's get back on track here. Talk about the matter at hand.
Yes, Phil. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about this show? What's your thoughts on the concept? Are you going to watch it? Are you intrigued to watch it? Would you watch both Dynamite and Collision? Are you gonna pick one? If so, which one are you gonna pick?
So just to clarify, so Rampage is still going to be going.
Yeah,
Rampage is still happening.
I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
they haven't said anything that it's not. But
Okay.
I think they'll probably do away with it quietly. That would be my prediction.
Yeah. That's fair. Now, I'll tune into the first like few episodes of Collision and see what it's about. Like, I'll give it a chance. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, new AW show. I'm not watching it. I'll give it a chance, see what it's like. But I don't know. And the main thing we're talking about here is CM Punk returning and sort of the manner in which it's happening. Which already from the reports we've seen where they've outlined what day he's going to come, I think June 17th, they said. Reportedly, the United Center, there's already rumors that he's going to sell out. And of course, like those shows draw and peak interest. CM Punk in Chicago, a return, that's always going to sell out the building. That CM Punk's a star, we know that, obviously. But it's what happens after, especially behind the scenes. Because on screen, whatever Punk's involved in will be at least worth talking about. CM Punk, whether it's Darby Allin, whether it's Eddie Kingston, whether it's MJF, whether it's the Elite, whatever he's involved in on AW TV or what we see on screen is compelling most of the time. It's worth talking about. But what's happening behind the scenes is, as you've described, they're literally having to create a pro CM Punk and an against CM Punk locker room. Like that's WCW sort of 2000 stuff.
Very
And they
petty.
didn't even do that then. Like that's literally like almost a full brand split based on one wrestler and whether that one group can get. It's very clicky. It's very messy. So that's my take, Kevin. What about you? Will you be watching? Will you be tuning into Collision? Will you be rushing home from work to get the popcorn, get the beers, get the soft drinks, crack them open? We're gonna watch Punk on Collision Power with FTR.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough ask to get me to watch a Saturday night show. I'm in my 20s. I go out a lot.
You'll be at the clubs, pal. You'll be with Bad Bunny at the clubs.
It'd be a tough ask to get me to come home and stay home for like 2 hours on a Saturday night. That's a bold ask from a wrestling company in
Like 2
2023.
hours.
Yeah, it's a 2 hour show.
Excuse me?
Yeah,
I thought he's
no, it's 2 hours. Yeah, it's a 2 hour.
on a Saturday night.
Yeah, Like for me,
Well,
it's
you're definitely
probably
not their audience then.
yeah, it's
You're
probably
not
gonna
their
air at
audience.
like 8 p.m. Yeah, no, people with lives are not their audience, but like even still, you're looking at AEW caters to that fan base that stays home and watches wrestling all day. Are even those
Yeah.
people gonna be home at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night? Maybe, maybe. You know, I'm not
Wow.
disparaging anybody, but like like what are you going for when you're going on going for a Saturday? Like Saturday is the day that people do things and people go out, they have fun. Like
I know.
they're meeting with family. Like I'm not gonna be in the middle of like a family birthday. Like, hey guys, no, gotta put on AEW Collision. Sorry guys, can't talk to you.
You imagine you're at like a family gathering, you're like the whole Kevin family there, and you're sat here, you got like your phone, and you're just like, sorry, can't talk right now, step cousin or sister or whatever. I'm watching Collision, and you're
Yeah,
just sat there watching AW Collision. Guys, sorry, CM Punk's coming out. Leave me alone. Leave me, guys, not now. And you're just like, oh my god, Punk, FTR. Oh my god, they're having a match against the Acclaimed. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Like,
Sammy Guevara just did a backflip, guys. Yeah, I
yeah,
can't compensate. Here's
your
the other
family
thing
would
too.
kick you out. Your family, like, this is the thing with, it's a Saturday at what, 8 o'clock, you said, for
Yeah,
a 2 hour show?
yeah.
That's going to be the death of AEW. Like, that's another big part of, like, that's not going to work. It just is not. We saw Rampage was a 1 hour Friday night one. Granted, that was going on 10 p.m. That's too late. But, like, that format, a 1 hour on Friday is like a better idea. 2 hours on Sunday night, that is just not a good idea.
Friday at
Like you
10
said,
p.m. is still that's nuts, bro.
no, no. If it was Friday, or SmackDown's 8 p.m., so you can't do that. Friday at 7 p.m. was the logical slot, but they didn't do that. I don't know. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe it's the best thing we ever see in wrestling, and we have a new wrestling boom period because of Collision Power. I don't know. I don't want to be negative, but I can't imagine anyone with lives who, you know, go out, see family, have gatherings, friends, events, things on. That's not the audience is going to be watching Collision. It's going to be an audience who just sit inside all day. So
What do you do with MJF too? Do you put MJF on both shows? Is he like Roman Reigns, showing up on Collision like once every like 8.5 months? It's like, hey guys, MJF's here. MJF is gracing us with his presence. Here's the AEW champion. Enjoy. Like what do you do at that point? It's just like, okay, Dynamite is the main show where the main
yeah.
eventers go, and then what is Tony Khan gonna create a little championship for Phil to hold, for Phil to run around with for like 2.5 years? Phil holds this second world championship. It's like the AEW national championship or an
Oh
AEW
no.
international championship, and here Punk, here, hold that. Then he could defend it against guys that he likes. I don't even know who Punk likes. Who are Punk guys? Darby Allin, I guess. You know, have Punk come out like, oh, Darby Allin's gonna fight me for this AEW championship belt. Like, what? I don't understand. At that point,
Oh no. Yeah, this is the reality AEW faces, Kevin. This is where we are at in 2023 with AEW. We've got literally a divide in the locker room, backstage turmoil. As Nation says, there are rats in the stadium, pal.
and let's look at this too. No,
Yeah.
let's say you and I were doing this podcast, right?
Mhm.
We you know, our podcast isn't big. We have an Elite Heat studio
Mm.
in New York City or something. And
Yeah.
one day after the show, we got our producer in the room, and like after the show, we're just like mad at each other for whatever reason, and then we just like start having a punching war, a brawl in the studio in New York City, pal. You know, I'm on top of you, like beating you up.
I say
And,
something on air, and then you just get so mad. I'm in my like my little like dressing room. You bash the door in. You super kick the door. I've got like my friend's wife, a dog in there. You just like you come in. You're like slap kicking. A chair gets thrown. Security's trying to break us apart. I'm like, you didn't upload for 8 months on Wrestling Uncovered. We're yelling at each other, and
yeah,
then you're just like you didn't upload Elite Heat clips, and we're like screaming at each other.
yeah.
And then eventually, yeah, like what is that?
And then
Come on.
are we gonna be friends like 2 months later? Just like, hey, all right, you know, the people want to see Elite Heat on the air. They want to see us like squash this beef on air. Like, are we gonna do that for numbers? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, because that's the thing,
Maybe.
like, if you have a company of professionals, this gets sorted on screen and makes a lot of money. When you're in a company with a lot of unprofessionals at the top, it turns into this, where like, oh, well, I don't want to. That'll offend Punk, if Punk's on this show with these, and then it'll hurt, Nick Jackson's feelings, and I don't Tony Khan. I don't really deal. We'll separate it, and we'll like if they go that rabbit hole, which it sounds like from the report you've read and what we're talking about here, they're going down the rabbit hole of. It's just not. It's not the way to go. This is wrestling. Have them go in the ring and sort it out and make money and get a pay per view that people are going to want to watch. But instead, Kevin, Collision Pal, get out your phone on a Saturday night. Guys, Kevin's family, go away. Go away. Darby Allin's coming out for his match with Dash Wilder. Well, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say, Kevin. Anything else from you on this, or can we move on?
The word I was thinking of, it just hit me, is Tony Khan is catering to CM Punk and all of his needs. And it's a leverage thing. Punk is the biggest star in AEW. Punk is the biggest star that AEW will ever have. And is probably the second biggest star in wrestling. So if Punk, if Punk wants to do this, and the Elite, they have all this leverage because they're the big stars. They're the reason why AEW got to the dance. All those guys have leverage, so they can kind of get away with this. Like, a lot of people compare this to the Edge and Matt Hardy thing. With, like, Edge and Matt Hardy, like, Matt Hardy was like, I lost my girl, my best friend. Like, my life's ruined. I might as well make this WWE money. It's the hottest I'm ever going to be from a storyline perspective. So it's like, Matt Hardy doesn't have a lot of leverage. Matt Hardy can't just walk into Vince's office, storm in, and be like, you have to put me on SmackDown and put Edge on Raw. And everybody that likes me is on my show. And everybody that likes Edge is on their show. Like, it's just... There was no leverage for that. Maybe if like Roman Reigns and John Cena in 2021 couldn't get along before they up until their leading up until their SummerSlam match, Roman Reigns could be like, no, I'm not going to be in the same arena with that guy. I'm only going to be on SmackDown. Cena's only going to be on Raw. Like, maybe they could get away with that because they're that big of stars. But I guess that's ultimately why we're here, because AEW needs Punk. They're doing a 90,000 seat arena. They need him, whether they want to admit it or not, or the fans want to admit it or not. AEW and Tony Khan need him, so that's why we're here, pal.
Nah, bang on. And Kevin, I think we can transition. Do you want to go to Dominic Mysterio, or do you want to have a discussion about, just the women's side of wrestling generally? Like, where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I want to talk about the women's thing, so I'll kick it off with this. So we got the women's, essentially the focal point of the women's division right now. It's Trish Stratus and Lita, and I guess Becky Lynch, I assume. But Becky Lynch, she deleted everything on her Twitter. She blacked out, well, not deleted everything, but she blacked out her profile page and her bookmark or her background on Twitter. So people think that she's leaving WWE. She changed her name, but she didn't change her handle. Changed her name from Becky Lynch to Rebecca Quinn, I believe. So that sparked the rumors. So I don't know what that means. We don't have Becky Lynch. Now Trish Stratus is like the top star, and she's cutting heel promos on this past Raw, and it was good. I watched the segment. I caught the promo. Like, people were like hyping her up, like, oh, she's spitting bars, she's owning everything. Oh, go Queen. Like, yeah, good promo. She stated facts. She stated, really the main thing I want to focus on is that she stated something, I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of saying, like, before Charlotte and Sasha and Bailey and all those girls, before the Four Horsewomen, there was me. I was the first woman to main event Raw. I was doing this. I was doing that. I was a 7-time women's champion. And it's made me think that for whatever reason, WWE has chosen to not really push Trish Stratus as a revolutionary piece in women's wrestling. The WWE agenda, the WWE media, and what they tell us that women's wrestling was significant in the mid-2010s, and that's when it became like a focal point. Like, yeah, it became an everyday focal point, and the women became athletes instead of eye candy or bathroom break or popcorn break segments. Like, that part I acknowledge. I think we'd be silly not to acknowledge that. Even when Trish Stratus and Lita were main eventing Raw, you would have a segment earlier on the show where like Vince McMahon is sexualizing Candice Michelle, or he's making out with Sable. Like, girls are just dropping their pants left and right, showing off their bodies, which is great and it's fine, But after the mid-2010s, they became, the women became, just like I said, athletes, week in, week out, characters, storylines. It was nothing about the sexualization anymore. It was just, well, there's a little bit of sexualization with like Mandy Rose, but not a lot, be few and far between. And Trish was kind of like, hey, I'm here. Like, don't forget about me. And I think it's a WWE design thing because Trish Stratus has so many negative segments and infamous segments that are tied to her name.
No, I agree with you. I agree because Kevin, when I think Trish, I think really about three things. It's those well, first and foremost, the bark like a dog segment, and Trish usually being like naked in the ring as Vince is like, "Damn it, take the bra off," and then the whole ring is cheering. And like you've done literally a video on this. You've broken this down perfectly. So go check that out if you haven't. But yeah, like there's that, which is like the big thing with Trish, and then there's those like photo shoot or like those I guess either magazine covers or all those they do all these like divas in Cancun specials. I have like Trish was be like the face, wearing literally nothing, doing a photo shoot. And then the other thing would be like, yeah, her Mickey James storyline or like her Raw main events. That's what I think. I think Trish. And then now we've got in 2023, she's I think we established this in the WrestleMania review, like 47. Granted, she looks better than any of the current day women, even though she's 47. But that being said, like she's doing this promo as you allude to, like I'm, remember me, I'm like the greatest before anyone else, yada yada. And it got myself and you obviously thinking about this women's revolution evolution thing. I'll never forget the night there was the Give Divas a Chance hashtag got trending. I never forget watching it when they got like the minute and a half match with the Bella twins on a 3 hour Raw in like February 2015, I want to say. And Twitter and the wrestling community lost their minds. And within a few months, Kevin, we had Stephanie McMahon parading out in the middle of a random July Raw in 2015 before Battleground going, guys, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, we have Sasha. And it was like, okay, cool, nice. And then it was, Team PCB, and they did all that weird stuff with it, and Team Bad, and from there we've seen 8 years of the women being athletes, which is amazing for them, obviously. But it's weird listening to Trish. The whole point of this is we're listening to Trish doing this promo when WWE don't feel comfortable showing all this stuff from her past. They just don't. And so we're being told this by Trish, and what she's saying is valid as long as she's saying stuff that's wrong. But the WWE themselves really can't. Like maybe they could show a clip from a Mickey James match or something, or maybe a match versus Lita. They can show some pictures. But a lot of this stuff they can't even show on the air. You know?
Yeah, like if you listen to WWE, you would think that there was no significant singles women's matches or triple threat or whatever, any significant women's matches up until like Charlotte Natalia in
Yeah,
NXT. But the reality is, Trish had a couple of matches at WrestleMania that were pretty big. She
yeah,
had a big triple threat match at WrestleMania 19. I think she had a match at WrestleMania 18 too. And then she
yeah,
had the WrestleMania 22 match with Mickey James. That was like a full fledged focal point of Raw. That was one
yeah,
of the most important storylines leading up to that show. But that stuff doesn't get remembered because of the raunchiness of it, for one. Like Mickey James, like following Trish in the shower and like the sexualization and like her being obsessed
yeah.
with her and in love with her. That stuff doesn't get brought up because I guess it would be in poor taste now and to the revisionists. Go ahead.
I will say on that, in the last 8 years, when it comes to like women's WWE, what storylines off the top of your head can you remember? Like what storyline? Not just Charlotte had a match with Sasha and they had a bunch of good matches. Like what's because with that,
Hmm.
I get to some it's poor taste. We remember that 18 years later, and I remember it as like a really good storyline. I know like you have your own thoughts. Everyone's watching. But in the last 8 years on WWE main roster,
Yeah.
the four horsewomen, whoever, what storylines have we actually had with the women?
You
Like,
mean the Becky Lynch Ronda story? Like
yeah,
Becky being like held down, and then like Ronda like allegedly not wanting to work with her. Like that whole work
yeah,
shoot storyline was good.
yep.
Uh,
Yeah, Becky going to WrestleMania 35. Yep,
yeah,
definitely,
great story.
100%. I'm just thinking, pretty much all of Charlotte Flair's stuff has quite literally been, "I'm the queen, I'm better than you, let's have a match," and then she usually wins them. Like, I remember we discussed this in the WrestleMania preview with the Bianca Belair stuff. Bianca Belair's WrestleMania matches, the build has been bad or non-existent for all of them. Remember WrestleMania 37 for the Sasha Banks big main event? We're going to team up because we're both baby faces. Let's have a match now. And it's like, I mean, the match is really good. It's empowering seeing two women of color main event at WrestleMania. I get it. But from the storyline standpoint, 8 years, and all we can think of within about 2 minutes here is, well, Becky Lynch was, fighting for her life back when she broke her nose. So really, Becky Lynch breaking her nose and the stuff with Ronda at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019,
Hmm.
and
Well,
what else?
I mean, if we're talking just like women's storylines
Yeah,
between like two women or a tag
yeah,
team, women's tag teams,
yeah,
not really some jump to my head. But I mean, there's been
yeah,
women involved with good storylines, like Alexa Bliss being involved with the Fiend stuff
yeah.
when it was good before it went off the rails.
Hmm.
Um, there's like Mandy Rose and Otis was a nice story, and Dolph Ziggler and all that. They turned that into a story. Look at that! Look at that! Phil and the
Yeah.
Young Bucks. Dolph Ziggler and his girlfriend broke up in real life, but they. Oh no, was he dating Mandy Rose or was it Dana Brooke? I don't remember now.
I don't honestly
Hmm.
have a clue. I'm not the person to ask for that. But yeah,
Yeah,
the point being here, this is 8 years with some like great. The talent is like great. Sasha, Becky, Bianca, etc. Rhea Ripley now, Charlotte, the like.
yeah.
But the storylines that you remember, because that's what it really. That's what wrestling's really about. The storylines you can talk about years in
Yeah,
advance. Like,
that's
that
the
was
point
great.
you're making is that Trish and Mickey is like one of those great storylines, and it was just like
Yeah.
two women having a great storyline, and we haven't seen anything like it since, really.
Yeah, and many would say Trish and Lita as well from the early 2000s, some of the stuff they did together. And then, I mean, Trish and being involved in, yeah, Jericho and Christian's thing for WrestleMania 20. I remember that vividly. That was great stuff. Trish's involvement in the Vince and Shane thing from 17 is infamous, but that's memorable. So Trish has been involved in a bunch. That's why Trish, when she says that sort of stuff, she's been involved in a lot of stuff that's genuinely memorable, genuinely a storyline or something that an angle that you go, yep, we can talk about that 2 decades later. Nowadays, there hasn't been that with the women's. As great as the athletes are, as great as the talent is, Becky Lynch broke a nose and feuded with Ronda, and then Charlotte got added, and that's what really the big thing we've had. Because what was the storyline with Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks? Was there one besides I'm the boss, I'm the queen? Like, it's
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Which that's the point I'm making. Do with that what you will. Maybe you can list off 15 all-time great women's storylines from the last 8 years on the WWE main roster in the comments. If you can, fair enough. But off the top of our heads, it's few and far between.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, like, really, it's a WWE thing by design. Why Trish Stratus is not really remembered, or not remembered, just not advertised the way that she is. Like, it's just like, honestly, what we get from WWE is like Trish Stratus is a legend because we say so, and it's kind of like if you know, you know. If you know about Trish, that's it. You know. If you missed it and you never saw Trish in her prime, you may look at her like, why is this woman important? Or if
Yeah.
you only saw highlights, if you were too young, or if you weren't watching wrestling at the time and you only saw highlights, you might not realize why she's a big deal. You might just look at her like, oh, she was a beautiful eye candy. She was a women's champion. But Trish was like really one of the biggest stars of her era. Trish and Lita were. But Trish mainly. Trish will always be a little bit more commercial, a little bit more memorialized than Lita and her legacy. A lot of that was Lita's own doing, but yeah, it's intriguing stuff. To be Becky Lynch, if whether she or not she is a free agent, that's intriguing too. If she is indeed a free agent and AEW scoops her up, is that like a legitimate signing to you? Is that a legitimate? I don't want to say game changer, but is that like a legitimate pickup for them, or is that just like one that's gonna fizzle out in a couple months?
I mean, Becky Lynch would be the star of that division. Like, she'd make it much more compelling.
I agree.
But it's wrestling. Never say never. Seth Rollins' wife going and like Becky Lynch is like one of the big stars. She's main event at WrestleMania. All this. She won a WrestleMania. Like, of all people, what reason would she have to want to go to AEW? And I take it she's intelligent. She probably sees the AEW women's division and goes, I can go there and do what? Have Tony Storm spray paint my ass, have Soraya and Tony Storm punch me, and then call me a slut? What kind of what can I really do here? Like, I can have a match with Britt Baker in a dentist office, like this Jamie Hayter's really good. Like, that would be great. But I'm trying to think like what else for a division like Jade Cargill, potentially she could put her over. But if that's what you're leaving WWE to go and do, that's not really worth it for Becky,
Yeah,
considering how much status she has in WWE. To go over to AEW and yeah, maybe a good match with Tony Storm, cool. But you're gonna leave WWE for that?
what if they
Like,
do Mercedes Monet versus Becky Lynch at Wembley? Just say hypothetically.
I mean,
put our tinfoil
that
hats
works.
on. You know
That
that's a
works. You
big
know,
deal.
if Tony Khan can make that happen,
That's a
fair
big
play.
money.
But
That's a big money payout too for both those girls. That's a big time match. Apparently, Mercedes is done with NJPW. I think I read that. So if
right,
she's done in New Japan, I don't know if she's coming back to WWE anytime soon. She's walked out of there more times than CM Punk and Stone Cold combined.
I
So
know,
I don't know if they'll
literally.
be like super thrilled to have her back. Yeah. All right. So
Yeah,
let's get to it, pal. Let's talk about one Dominic Mysterio.
yeah.
I'll
Before we
ask
get to
you.
Dom,
Go
can I
ahead.
just address one little thing?
Yes.
This is about
Yes.
Judgment Day. So we've got, they're doing this segment on Raw. You've got the Judgment Day on one
Uh,
side, the
I know where this
Bloodline the
is
other. A lot
going.
of people on Twitter were hyping up that Rhea Ripley and Sikoa were like staring at each other. Like, that was cool, sure. You've got Finn Balor, who's 42, and he's standing there with his shirt, and his shirt reads, quote, Finn, and it's got like the semicolon 14. So it's supposed to be like an Austin 316 shirt, yeah. Finn 14 Staples. Kevin, would you wear that to a family gathering, the gym, outings, socially, at the club? You're wearing a Finn 14 Staples shirt, representing the iconic 5'6" Irishman who had staples put in his head at WrestleMania from a ladder incident. Would you be desperate to wear that shirt, pal?
I imagine you, pal. You know, you're a single guy. You're rocking the Finn 14 Staples shirt. You're at the farmer's market buying some vegetables and some produce and some fruits. A little bit of organic cheese. You're at the farmer's market chilling. You see a nice young lady like I maybe they have like some farmers markets near you. They have them here. They have like a smoothie bar in a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you see a nice young lady at the smoothie bar getting a nice organic banana smoothie, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go approach this young lady. What do I gotta lose, And you're over there walking with confidence, rocking your Finn 14 Staples shirt. How quickly is that girl running away from you? Like, are you even gonna make it like within 5 feet of her before she's like, no, forget the smoothie, I'm gone.
Finn 14. So the point being, like, merchandise in WWE, I went to WWE shop WrestleMania week and bought 4 shirts. So I bought the Roman Reigns Greatness Amongst You, the one where he's literally in the Mafia boss, like it's just Roman on the shirt and Heyman's head's here. Like the greatness of that's like the dope Mafia boss, like Sopranos Reigns shirt. I bought that because it's wearable. I wore that to the gym and like proudly. That's a cool shirt. You've got I bought like a Cody one, like a singlet where it's got the undesirable, like it got the logo. 'Cause that's a cool wearable top. I bought a retro Cena top, and I bought like the Island of Relevancy one with the bloodline.
Which Cena shirt did you buy?
It was
Is it
hustle,
the
loyalty, respect, like word life on the back.
oh, the orange
From
one?
like it was no, it's a black shirt. It's like all these are like black like backings. I didn't buy a neon fruity
It wasn't
pebble.
the one he was wearing at the '08 Rumble, that black and orange one, the hustle
No,
loyalty respect
it
one.
was not. No,
Okay,
I'll send you a picture of it.
that's
I'll put it
funny.
on Twitter. But
Uh,
yeah, like basically, I bought these shirts. I would not be caught dead rocking Finn 14 Staples. Who's that shirt for? Like, I get it. Finn Balor has fans. He has a Stan
it's for the
fan
kids,
base.
pal.
And he has a fan base of people who defended when he flashed his testicles on screen on SmackDown in 20. They said, well, what's wrong with that? You have an issue with that? I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
want to see Finn's balls on
pretty sure
SmackDown.
Fox
No,
had an
thank
issue
you.
with that.
Keep that on the dark side of the web. Keep that away from me. Keep that away from the young children watching. Keep that away from the people. I don't need to see Finn's balls.
Oh,
Okay. But you've got Finn Balor wearing Finn 14 Staples. And I'm sitting there going, who thought that would be a good shirt to make? Like,
uh,
what's the ROI on that shirt? Anyway, Kevin, enough about that. We're here to talk about the other Judgment Day member, Dom. He's feuded with Rey Mysterio now. He's getting a lot of heat. There's a big kind of fanfare, but in the right way. He's getting negative reactions, booed. He's getting the right reactions as a heel. And with that, we ask this on the late heat today: is Dom a main eventer? Does he have potential to be a legit main event guy? Where do you see Dom for the next 1, 2, 3 years going in WWE? So, Kevin, I'll swing the baton over to you. Talk to us.
yeah. Dominic Mysterio. I think Dominic Mysterio that we've seen for the past 7, 8 months. I think that version of Dominic Mysterio is absolutely a main eventer, undoubtedly. We were fantasy booking him versus Cody. If Cody won the WWE Championship post
Should
WrestleMania,
have won.
which,
Should have won.
we'll talk about another theory later on why Cody didn't win. But yeah, so nevertheless, Dominic Mysterio is a guy that he could have a program with Roman Reigns right now. If Roman Reigns was full time and needed somebody to wrestle in Puerto Rico, why not have Roman versus Dominic? You know, why not? Dominic is that good. I think now there's levels to it. Is Dominic Mysterio like face of the company guy? Maybe not. Maybe not. It's possible he could get there, but I don't know. Like he'd have to be really, really good to be the face of the company. Like that's not a knock. There's only been like 5 or 6 of those guys, 7 in like the 50, 60 plus year history of the WWE. I could count them on one hand. So it's not really a slight to say that Dominic's not a main eventer, or not. I mean, not a, no. It's not a slight to say that Dominic's not the top guy, or he doesn't have potential to be the top guy. But I think he could be a legitimate mainstay in the main event scene. Now, there's a couple things that work against him. One, I don't know how good of a babyface he would be. We've already seen it, but I don't know, like even if he's with all the experience and the polishing that he's had over the last like year, really, and improvement he's done. I don't know if he could still be an intriguing babyface just because of his stature. He doesn't have like a superhero look, you know. He works well in the slimy chicken shit heel role, and he naturally just comes off that way just because he's the son of a famous wrestler. So there's that part of it, and then there's the other part of like, what is he gonna do when he's not like in a program with his father?
Yeah.
That's really the big test for him. It's like everything he's done is really revolved around Ray for the most part. Like we first saw him in main roster action in that match that Ray had with Brock in 2019. That's when we really started to see Dominic getting involved heavily, taking beatdowns from Brock, saving his father, sacrificing himself. And then, he had a pretty good match with Rollins at SummerSlam 2020. And then he has some good tag team stuff he did with his dad, and they won the belts and all this and that. But really, Rey Mysterio's been a big part in helping Dominic get to where he is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the big test for him is when he does get that big storyline. Because I think it's coming sooner than later.
Yeah.
Whether it's with a guy like Bobby Lashley, or they take it up a notch and he's with a guy like Edge, one-on-one, or somebody like that. Or if they go all the way and put him in there with the champion, or put him in there with Brock Lesnar. Depending on what the next move is. That's really going to be the test. And I think he's ready for it. But I don't know if he's as, what's the word? Well-versed or multifaceted as a guy like John Cena is, for example. Or a guy like even like a CM Punk or one of those guys. I don't know. But what do you think? What's your most vicious, vile, brutally honest thoughts on Dominic Mysterio?
My brutally honest, vicious thoughts. I don't think he's a main eventer. No, I think what we've seen with his father Ray has been excellent. It just has. We've both praised it a lot. It's great. It just is. And with the reactions he's getting now, he's getting the perfect right reactions as that upper mid card, heel you just hate. He's a punchable guy. That's the thing, and he's getting really good, upper mid card reactions. But what we saw from Dominic prior to then, prior to the last, 6 months, there wasn't a lot of like I viewed him in the same way I viewed like someone like Theory, where it's like, okay, cool, he's a young talent. There's some good things he does, but on the whole, I don't really have that connection to. I don't really care that much. Granted, now he's turned that around quite a bit. I at least feel something when he's on the screen. I want to boo him. I want to see him get punched. But does me wanting to see someone punch him equate to the main event? Like, just he's over as a heel, which is amazing. Which hats off. Getting over in general in wrestling is not easy. Getting the audience to feel something for you is not easy. But I have real trepidation about granted, Cody and Dom, with where their reactions are at right now, that would be really good if they did that in the next few months. If they found a way to get that done sometime in, I guess, when once the Brock stuff's done in like June, July, in the lead up to, if they could do that, that'd be perfect timing. I feel like, because Dom's like over as a heel right now. But the real trepidation I have just surrounds the sort of longevity and sustainability of this. I think just because we've seen Dom for the past really month and 2 months, when it's really amped up in WrestleMania season, where he's, in front of his own sister, in front of his mother, slandering his Hall of Fame legendary father, who everyone unanimously loves. Like Ray is the most unanimously loved wrestler in wrestling history. You don't see a negative word said about Rey Mysterio. You see negative stuff said about everyone else, but you don't see it about Ray. So to have Dom saying horrible things week after week, slandering that guy, yes, he's going to get those negative reactions, of course. That's yeah, and he's too fair to him. Dom, he's done a good job with that, but I don't view him as a guy who, believability wise, I don't view him as a main eventer to come sort of thing. I don't view him as someone like I view him on the same level as like a Grayson Waller, where like he could have a main event, a swing at the main event scene for 2 3 months, have a program with a top star like a Cody, a Roman, maybe a Brock, as you listed like the top tier, but they're either on the tier below or some would argue the tier below that. They're good at their roles. They're entertaining. They make you feel, which is good. But do they have the presentation? Do they have the star power, the believability, the kind of aesthetic to be that guy who you're buying a pay per view to watch get beat up, maybe once or twice against Cody or against Roman or Brock, yes. But for months and months in main event storylines that aren't against his father, I don't think so yet. Maybe prove me wrong, Dom, please.
Well, for me, the reason why I'm so high and I say that he is a main eventer, like the main thing, the deciding factor to me is the character work he's done. That the
Okay.
character work is like it's stuff that not everybody's doing and not everybody understands in wrestling. A lot of people are just like Randy Orton is a good example of this. Randy Orton just coasting on his look and the RKO and like the entrance and the theme music. Randy Orton never really did a lot of over the top entertaining stuff as a character. I mean, he had like that segment where Triple H went to his house and jumped him in front of his wife, but like for the most part, Randy Orton was just like a guy that came out and wrestled.
Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio has that character stuff though. Like he's working the character. Like he's been doing this thing now where he's like committed to the character. He's like a prison, and he went to prison, and he'll go on like After the Bell with Corey Graves, or he'll go on like Sirius XM with like Bubba Ray and Dave LaGreca, and he'll talk about how like he went to jail and how it changed him and hardened him. Like that's just something that's you can't teach, bro. I
That's
mean,
entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, I think he learned from his dad. I mean, his dad had to walk around with a mask like in public his whole life. Do you think Ray wears the mask like when he's not wrestling, or like when he's like at home with his wife, like they go to like a movie or something out in the town? You think Ray Mysterio's walking around with the mask on?
Sometimes, yeah. The same thing's like the Undertaker. Like I don't think he wears the druid coat and all that. 24/7, absolutely. But he'll look still like he'll look in character sort of when you see him almost. If that makes sense.
That's
Ray with the mask.
it's a little
I don't
different
know.
for Ray because that's like such a big part of Mexican culture. The mask
Correct.
and
Yeah. I don't know.
like
Yeah.
imagine you're at a restaurant, right? You're just sitting at the bar with like two friends, and like all of a sudden you turn around, you see Rey Mysterio sitting and having dinner with his mask
Who's
on.
that jumping out the sky?
Like
Hurry, why?
like I think about that segment where like him and his wife are having dinner and Dominic and Rhea ruined it. I'm just like imagine if that was like imagine in a real life situation. You're just sitting at a restaurant, like the table next to you, Rey Mysterio's sitting there with his mask on, having dinner with his wife, like in real life. Like this is not like an angle or anything. He's just like chilling. Like how funny would that be?
Oh my god. Imagine like you're getting like you're eating whatever, you're at some bar, you're at some pub, it's like a Saturday night, you're chilling with your boys, you're chilling, you're eating stuff, you're watching some sports, you're watching some football. Then like you turn around, you got Mark Calloway, the Undertaker behind you, chatting to like Glenn Jacobs and all the 6'11" WWF superstars. I'd be like, what the hell? Like
I'd be
he's in
scared.
a cape. Like what?
He's in
you
a
know, but
cape.
I don't know. But I think the main thing with Dom, I'll go back to my point of view here with this. I just view like until he proves without his father that he's just as hateable and he's just as good, it waits to be seen. Look, I think he can be definitely, potentially if they do a good storyline with another top guy who's not Ray, and then they do another compelling storyline, and you give it 6 months a year, and we're still going, yeah. Honestly, Dom get his face punched in. He's a cornball and seen beat up. Then maybe. But how I view Dom, like Kevin, back in the Attitude Era, have every mid Carter was like Dom is now, where you felt something when he was on the screen. He was over as a character. You wanted to boo him. You wanted to either see him succeed or hate him. Every character was like that across the show. Nowadays, because there's not really much of that, Dom stands out so much because he actually has character work, as you say. He gets a reaction, all that sort of thing. So someone who, like Dom, who probably isn't Roman Reigns or Cody, stands out a lot in that regard as a upper mid card guy. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, either way, Dominic, the future's bright for him. Whether he's a main
yeah,
event guy or he's a forever mid card guy, future's bright for him. He's going to be getting paychecks from. I was gonna say Vince McMahon, but he's gonna be getting paychecks from Triple H for years to come, pal. Unless Vince McMahon completes another hostile takeover of WWE. I want to say this too, real quick, on the Vince McMahon episode of Raw that we saw.
yeah.
Like, do you think that was like, like, that was like Vince McMahon just like, he's walking with the people from Endeavor, and like the people from Endeavor are like, so Vince, like you're the chairman of WWE, you're this, like, what do you do exactly? Show us what a day in the life of Vince McMahon is. If it's like, all right, pal, and that's when he's just like, you know what, damn it, change that Seth Rollins segment, change that. Oh, give me the script, rip it up. Like,
Honestly, yes,
is
I
that
do.
possible?
Honestly, yes. Like, now you lay that out, that makes complete sense. It's probably like they've done the Endeavor sale. You've got like Endeavor executives. Like there's like 3 or 4 suits and ties. These like old people. They probably know nothing about wrestling or WWE or anything.
Right.
What do you like? What's a live show like, Vince? And they're singing Gorilla. They're sitting like they've got a row of steel chairs set up behind Triple H, Vince, Road Dogg, Bruce Pritchard, whoever. They're all sat there, and Vince is like, he's trying to look like he's doing a lot of stuff during the show with the headset on. He's like, Paul Levesque, cut the Rollins segment, cut it out, get the message out. He's trying to look like it's it's all action packed, and it's like it's go. And the people at Endeavor have no clue that the show is like sucking on the screen. It's just, it seems like, oh my god, Vince, he's in his natural element. This is what we paid for. This is great. That's what they'd be thinking. Meanwhile, on Twitter and social media, Twitter's like, oh, I'm effing G, F Vince McMahon. I hope he died. Like, literally, like, our friends were like, get rid of him off this earth. It's that sort of stuff. Like,
Wow.
people were watching it on the wrestling fandom going, this sucks, it's bad. But Endeavor probably like, oh, look at the way Mr. McMahon tells Road Dogg to go and tell Seth Rollins he's changing his segment. So good, pal.
Yeah, Vince just like, oh, come on, guys from Endeavor, look what I can do, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Like, look at this. Oh, see the script here? They got the run sheet. We're gonna rip that page out.
Changing that, bro. Throw that out.
Page out.
That's gone. He's yelling at Paul. He's like, thanks for putting together a good show, but I got it from here. I got it from here, Triple H.
You got a 78-year-old Vince McMahon with the mustache like I have right now. He gets like there's like the 25-page run sheet with all the lighting cues, the audio cues, the scripting for the show, the commercial breaks, everything. Vince is like, oh, that's nice and all, but then he rips out like 3 pages and then pretends he's Kobe. He like scrunches it into a ball. He's like, oh, swish. See that, fellas? See that? Yeah, but tell Rollins, scrap the segment. Cut it out. Paul. And Triple H just sat there like, oh, God, kill me. Like,
oh, that's great.
Like, that's probably what happened in all objectivity. And that being said, Kevin, Triple H, is there something you want to touch on now surrounding Triple H and the WrestleMania main event?
No, we'll get to that. We'll save that for a big segment. We'll do that next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the vicious, vile, ruthless truth that WWE and Nick Khan does not want you to know about Paul Levesque.
Yeah, so just so you guys are aware, so that's the Elite Heap this week. Bunch of interesting topics. Next week's our sort of, I guess, backlash preview and another general wrestling chat. This is like a good kind of wrestling sort of where we're at, relevant topics discussion. I think if you guys like this format, we'll happily do this the whole, next few months, and with some other bios and all the good stuff mixed in that we usually do. I want to say as well, Kevin, you guys love the draft. Like the audience reception that I received and just the comments, fantastic. The engagement was through the roof. I've listened to that back. That's the most I've enjoyed listening back to one of our shows. That is so funny.
That reminds me, I was supposed to say this at the top of the podcast and I forgot. So I'm going to say this now. I want to formally apologize to Asuka for not even considering her when I was thinking about what females to draft. And I want to walk back everything that I said about Ronda Rousey. Just walking that take back. That never happened. Um, that was my undisputedly my worst take. Um, so the Ronda Rousey should not have been drafted. I should have taken Asuka, and I should have taken Asuka with might. You know, Asuka is a legitimate female star, and
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey is a washed MMA fighter that goes on Twitch streams and talks shit about wrestling fans. So, yeah, just want to take that one back. Forget that ever happened. I'm gonna give that one the old Trish Stratus barking like a dog treatment. Just bury that segment in the vaults of Elite Heat. That'll never come up on Google searches or anything, pal. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Nah, like listening to that back, I wish especially like obviously hindsight's 2020 here. I wish the order was a bit different of like when I pick people. When I picked Bron Breakker as hard as I did, and you went, he wasn't even on my board at 32. I was like, God's sake. And then you took Rhea Ripley. I could have taken Rhea Ripley and gotten them. But anyway, like listening to that back was frustrating. You like, as you alluded to with the Ronda Rousey thing, how set you were on that pick. And like how confident you are and proud of that. We argued over that pick for 10 minutes.
Well, I'll say
And then,
this: I had to defend it. Like I had, you were right in everything you said about it, but I
yeah.
had to stick to my guns. Like when I was gonna be like, yeah, like admit defeat, like yeah, that was a bad pick. I made the pick. I had to lay in the bed, bro.
Yeah. Kevin, do you regret taking Logan Paul so high?
No,
I wouldn't have taken him before. I think I might have
bro,
said like in the top 10. I wouldn't have taken him before like
bro.
20th pick.
In my shows, I'm gonna have Prime selling in the concession stand, bro. Like, but Logan Paul's gonna be a big deal for me, bro.
Prime's like $8 a bottle. It's overpriced trash.
What do you mean? I could go right now to Walmart and get it for $1.95 or whatever.
Really? Over here it's like $7.
That's nuts. Yeah. No, I've heard that like in other areas, but like where I live, I could go, bro. I could go buy a 12-pack at Walmart right now for like $6, like $6-7, and they have every flavor. I've tried them all. I've tried every flavor except for like the lemon lime or whatever the green one is. Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're not moving near me. They're near where I live. They're not moving at all.
That's nuts. Because over here, it's like it's double the price of if like let's say a bottle of Powerade or Gatorade was $2.50, let's say. Prime's double that and
That's
then
nuts.
some.
That's nuts. And it's actually quite good. Have you had it?
I haven't. I'm like, I'm not paying $7 for something that's literally just gonna be a
That's
tiny
fair.
bit better than Gatorade. Like,
I think it's significantly better than Gatorade, in my opinion.
okay.
Like I would say, just from like a nutrition standpoint, a taste standpoint, Gatorade definitely tastes better. But nutritionally, like for the taste compared to the nutrition and like the lack of sugar and like lack of calories, it tastes pretty good. I don't really know like anything to equate it to. It's kind of like Propel. I don't know if you ever had Propel.
Yeah.
It's like a better tasting Propel. But yeah, it's good. I've had like I like the strawberry watermelon. I love that. That one's really good. The tropical punch is good. There's like a white one, I guess like a mystery flavor. It's called like moon water or something. That one's pretty good. I wasn't crazy about the blueberry. Blueberry, I wasn't a fan of, but the strawberry watermelon, A plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha. I'll take that on
bro.
board,
You want me
but,
to buy you like you want me to buy you like a 12-pack, ship it over to you, bro?
the shipping cost will not be worth it.
Yeah, shipping costs.
Right.
You could go buy like a bottle yourself.
I know, right? No, for real. But yeah, that being said, Kevin, yeah, the draft was fun. That was one of our most entertaining league. Hey, if you haven't seen the draft and you're still listening to us now, go listen to the draft. We had our definitive, brutally honest draft. You can see how we built companies. You can see Kevin putting on a bunch of tag matches, my women's division carrying my show alongside some great main event talent. And yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. So we'll talk to you on the next one. That has been Elite Heat. Peace.
And also, before we go, one last thing, Kevin. You told me a little bit off air about what to expect next week. Where you're going to give us and the listeners the truth.
Oh yeah.
The real reason, which we haven't discussed, is why Cody Rhodes didn't win at WrestleMania. So you've got that to look forward to next week. Kevin has just a ridiculous. Kevin has something that I've been pretty much ignoring, and Kevin's going to bring it to light. So look forward to that next week.
You got the whiteboard out, pal? You got the whiteboard? We're going to do a hit piece on Paul Levesque. It's going to be the fatal flaw of Paul Levesque's WWE. Coming up next week, live on Elite Heat.
The fatal flaw. You're a